Don't tread on us.
Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice. The Zanna way. Don't trade on us. The Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration, chambered in 223 Wild, that can shoot both 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499, made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle, ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Tread on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD Don't Tread on Us, free ebook How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt Slaves Are Never Armed, I Am Not a Slave, free 30 rounds magazine where allowed by the law, free laser engraved ejection port Don't Tread on Us, for just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com, www.freedomrifle.com. Get your Freedom Rifle now. Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna, and we are on K-Talks 1340 AM, and of course also on the internet on www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Now, you know, every politics really, for me, the most important politics and the elections, they really start at local level. City and county, they're the most important political elections. Yes, we are facing a very interesting, it's interesting, it freaks me out, these federal presidential elections, but I tell you, at the end of the day, nothing is going to be more important than our county elections. Because here, all the decisions that they're going to really change our daily life is going to be made here. Now, I have on my show pretty much everybody. I don't care what party you are from, if you agree with me or not. Honestly, if you don't agree, I'll almost like it more, because I like to understand your brain. Maybe I didn't understand you. Maybe we can learn from each other. Maybe we can just, engage each other. After all, this is the idea. We have freedom of speech still, and we will keep it alive. Now, I have with me today interesting supervisor, because, I must tell you, at the beginning, I like him a lot. During the course, I like him a little less, but I still respect him a lot. He has all my respect, because I really believe that, first of all, even when we disagree, he's always upfront, and he's not afraid to stand for his belief. And that's, for me, the most important thing. I demand this from our elected official, at least to be proud of what you're standing for, and don't change every time you turn around. That's the first thing I respect. His name is Supervisor Stephen Moss. Supervisor Moss, are you there?
I am here. Thank you, Luca.
Very good. As I said, a lot of things about you I like. We are not that far away from our mindset, okay? And that sometimes, you lose yourself a little bit, in my humble opinion, in different type of, let's say, philosophy, more of gravitating around a statism form of philosophy. But that's okay. All I care that at least you always try to explain your convictions, and you try to explain where you're coming from, and more important, you're always open and reachable to us, the constituents. I think that's a very good thing, the way it should be. Because I tell you, many other states, look at California, you want to talk with your state supervisor, good luck. You must have a special permit from the Pope, okay? Anyway, I give you the floor. I shut up, Supervisor Moss. I want to give you this opportunity to say what you can offer to the voters, who you are, and then I have some questions, okay? Go ahead.
Not a problem, Luca. Thank you. And at first I got to say, it would be a very boring world if everyone agreed with everyone else. And the fact that people can have differences of opinion and still remain civil and even be friends, I think is one of the great blessings of being an American. I have many friends who I disagree with vehemently on their politics, and including family members who I think are left-wing loonies, but I still love them dearly and I still respect them. Because people aren't, one of the things they teach you in law school is that reasonable people can disagree. And I'm very thankful that we live in a country that we can actually, for the most part anyway, have that sort of system in place. When it comes to the county level, I agree with you that the county and cities are the most, I'm going to rephrase that, the counties, the cities, the school boards, and the fire boards. Those are the elected officials which have the most impact on citizens' lives. And those are the elections that citizens, for the most part, don't pay that much attention to. We're all focused on the presidential elections, who's going to be senator, who's going to be congressman, because that's where a lot of power is at. But much of that power is directed to places other than us. Unfortunately, some of that's directed our way too. But the people who you interact with on a day-to-day basis, the government officials you interact with on a day-to-day basis, or your children interact with, are going to be local. And that's why I think people should pay more attention to local office holders. When it comes to what I've tried to do over those last 4 years, I have tried to make government more transparent. I've tried hard to hold the line on taxes. I have tried to impose responsibility. I have tried to improve public infrastructure and amenities. I have tried to bring more middle-class jobs into Mohave County. I think I've done, and the most important thing is I have fought for our First and Second Amendment and other rights. You know, when it comes to the crazy dress code the county used to have, when it came to the no, political placards in the meetings, when it came to the no guns in the meeting rooms, all those things were just absolutely ridiculous. And so I'm glad to be part of that team that got rid of those violations of our rights. If I'm reelected, I'm going to keep doing the same thing. I think most of it, from your perspective, would be good. Some of it, you'll probably want to kick me in the knee. And that's fine. You're allowed to call me out.
No, listen, my point is this one. If I had to give you, first of all, I said, on my show, I keep always my personal. First of all, I cannot even vote for you. We are in different districts.
Exactly.
Let's remind, first of all, exactly what type of district are you located? I mean, so people can understand if they can vote for you or not. What is your district?
Yeah. It's District 5 of Mohave County. The northern boundary is the southern boundary of Bullhead City. It's basically Sterling Road, so it's all of Fort Mohave up to, but not including, Bullhead City. And then it goes south, following the Colorado River to pick up Mohave Valley, Topak, Golden Shores, Desert Hills, Havasu Heights, and roughly 10,000 or so people in Lake Havasu City proper.
Wow.
The southern boundary, more or less, is Kiowa in Lake Havasu City. Then it goes east to include Yucca. So it's basically the Colorado River to Yucca, the southern boundary of Bullhead City, going south until we hit Lake Havasu, Kiowa Avenue in Lake Havasu. It's a pretty big district.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, also the way it's set up. I mean, very hard to reach. And the good thing about K-Talks 1340 AM, this is one of the best area that we reach the signal through. So I hope at least the listeners this. First of all, regardless what I say, use your brain and use your logic. Of course, I always say, more important, I always want to be fair. I always commended you since the day one when you started to bring back the basic Bill of Rights in our county building. And that's something that for me is the foundation. As I said, we can disagree on other things, but when it comes down to the real important things, I think what you did and what you're still standing for, it is very important. And I commend you for that. Even if I cannot vote for you, I respect you. Because I tell you, this is a huge difference since the last administration. We still have little problems to fix. Maybe the ideal world doesn't exist yet in our county, but at least we can have a conversation as civil people like we're doing, and also in the county building, before we can even really talk to you guys, okay? There was not even any more call to the public. So that's, for me, they're facts. Regardless what people think about you, that's a fact. And belongs to everybody. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. We have finally, at least we can exercise our basic rights. Freedom of speech, as you said. We can still think that, we don't need to be defenseless victims. When the time we walk in that county building, we don't want to feel like terrorists, like we're going to the airport. But the idea is, after all, the bad guys, they're never going to follow those signs. And they always find a way to smuggle a gun in the building. And instead of being all of us disarmed, at least all of us law-abiding people, you reminded us through other supervisor who voted for it, that we have the right. And law-abiding people are the best thing to stop bad people with bad guns. Because the guns is not bad, but when there is a bad person behind, yes, the gun can become a deadly thing in a bad way. So that's my point. So I want to...
I agree.
Now, let's go to the bad stuff. Okay? I'm not going to tell you things. I want you, from your point of view, as a human being, as an elected official, we all make mistakes sometimes, and maybe you didn't. I don't know. But looking back at your 4 years in public business as a county supervisor, if there are two things, or maybe even just one, that you regret, that you wish you did differently, that maybe at the time when you were voting you didn't have all the information, maybe you were misled, or maybe you were just stupid. Okay. I don't know. You tell me. Is there anything that you regret that you could have done differently or better?
There's many things I could have done better when it comes to, I guess, various items of ordinances and things like that. If I had been more persuasive, maybe I would have won some more battles. If I had not divided so harshly between me and the other persons in some of these debates, maybe I could have brought them over to my worldview when it comes to some of the ordinance items that we were considering. For example, I'm opposed to the TV district. I would like to eliminate it and give the taxes back to the people because it's paid for by our property taxes.
Great, I like that.
I'm opposed to the TV district primarily for two reasons. One, it's very simple. Anyone in Mohave County can now have satellite or cable if they're willing to pay for it. So I'm not certain, taxing every single landowner to provide free TV to a very small group is a positive thing. From an economic standpoint, I don't see where we get that much gain. The second reason is, and this is more philosophical, every now and then the Board of Supervisors gets to vote on what channels we're going to rebroadcast in that TV district. And even though we don't do it, it's theoretically possible that a member of the Board of Supervisors could get rid of a news channel, for example, because they said something bad about them. And that means the government is now could potentially be controlling your news. It can be controlling your entertainment. And I know you're from Italy and you're from Rome, but it's essentially we're setting up the foundation for breads and circuses.
It's called monopoly, by the way.
Population in line.
In Italy, just to let you know, there is a monopoly of state. The moment that you own a TV, even now if you do not own a TV, they make you pay the canone. That means the tax for the public broadcasting, okay? It's the TV of state. And every slave, because I consider myself a slave completely when I'm in Italy, you are forced to pay for the tax just because they have a public broadcast. Even if you don't watch TV, even if you do not own any more a TV, the moment that you are, let's say, a person, they make you pay now the canone, the tax TV, through the electric bill. So they can cut you off your electric bill. Think about it. This is the latest one. But the bottom line is, my other point, you point 2 points why it's dangerous for the county government to be part of this taxpayer-funded broadcast channel. There is also another point, very important, I believe. Maybe you agree with me. Where is in our, let's say, republic, what we're supposed to be a constitution based, of course, on the individuality of us, as human rights, I don't think a human right, or in our Bill of Rights, there is the government that must provide a public service like the television. I mean, that's really out of the book of some sort of socialistic society. It's not supposed to be in America. I mean, I remember when I was poor and, I came to America, I didn't have access. I mean, I didn't have cable. I don't have cable right now because I don't want it. But the point, I never demanded the government to pay me for pay for my cable. That mentality is so scary because that belongs for me to something like Obamacare. And now we tell me that in Mohave County, the most conservative county on paper in the state of Arizona, we have county supervisors who are supporting the socialistic form of government, giving free television out of our taxpayer. Shame on whoever is voting for that stuff. I don't care if it's one dime out of my bills, our property tax that I pay. Am I too extreme?
We agree. We agree. That third reason is a very good example. I never thought of that. The analogy to what goes on in Italy and England, where everybody has to pay for the BBC or the government television. And I think it's wrong. I think that the money that we raise to spend on that TV district every year could either be a very nice tax break for our taxpayers, or if we wanted to keep it within government, we can hire another dozen sheriff deputies, and we're desperately short of sheriff deputies.
Exactly.
So that's one of the things which I regret failing on, and I regret it mostly because I really think it was Hildy Angus and I who tried to get rid of it, and we've tried I think 3 times now, but we did not manage to persuade the other 3, and so that's one of my failures, if you will. And I really wish that we could try again and give either our taxpayers a break or just use the money to hire some sheriff's deputies.
Sometimes I tell you something. Of course, you do what you want. You are the elected person. But regardless the numbers, regardless the odds, sometimes you know that you're going to be 1 against 4 or 2 against 3. The point is,
Correct.
we the voters at the end, we're supposed to be there following what you're doing. And even when you know that you go there and you may lose the battle, at the end you win the war because you stick to your principles. And that's, I think, really what, in my opinion, what I would suggest you, even of course humbly, I can't suggest you anything because you got more experience than I do. But, as a voter, I would suggest you that. Sometimes even when you're forced to try to play politics and play along because you think you don't have that number, at the end of the day, these things will stay forever on your back of your record. And, I say, stick to your principles even when you think you may lose a battle. I know it's a chess game probably out there, but sometimes, I tell you, you're going to start to sell a little bit of the time of your soul. And then at the end, say, I did that for the good reason. I did that because then we have a deal. And then at the end, you realize that, say, what did I do? But that's just me.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree with you. You can't, if you start selling, if you'll sell a little bit of your soul, you'll do it again and again and again. And eventually you have no soul. And that's what I think happens when people go to Washington, D.C. They go there as, for the most part, I think, pretty decent people. But you spend there for 10, 20 years, and every year you're selling a little part of your soul, and by the time they're done, people are looking around and realize they got no soul left. And you can't compromise your principles, and you have to think of the economics when making decisions, and you also have to think about the policy. What is this putting in place, and what could come out of this? Mm-hmm. And I think the TV district is one of those things where something not so fortunate could come out of it. And the economics, I don't think, makes a lot. They don't even know how many people use the district. It could be one person, it could be 1 million people. Nobody knows.
Yes.
So how can you balance that? How can you evaluate the good versus the cost?
Exactly, and I point in, as I said, also is the principles. I mean, even if people say we need it, guess what? This is not honestly a loaf of bread wouldn't be a right because you gotta work for your bread. I work for my bread, you work for your bread. But the TV for sure is not a piece of bread. I mean, if you're in the middle of the desert, I'm gonna give you free water. Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna let you die. But don't tell me now that your life is gonna be in danger if you don't get your stupid ass cable TV. Okay, I mean, or whatever it is. Anyway, beside that's my personal opinion. Now, politics. Talking about federal politics, you don't have to answer, of course, but I like to pick your brain. At least let the constituents, the voters, to know where you stand. For Congress, who do you support for these elections?
I have to support Ray Strauss.
Okay.
I'm voting for Ray Strauss over Paul Gosar.
Okay.
I'm doing that because I think Ray Strauss, in my opinion, Ray Strauss is a lot like me. Okay. I think he's an honest man. He engages with everybody. He always picks up when I call. Mm-hmm. We've disagreed, and we've shook hands afterwards and moved on.
Okay.
I think he has a heart which is concerned about our citizenry, and I think he's also very conservative in that his view is we need to take power out of Washington and we need to put it back into the states and the local government where it belongs.
But remember something, though, he's still not elected. I mean, I'm sure he's going to answer to you right now, of course. I mean, let's be fair, because all things change, dynamic, and maybe not. Maybe for him, he's going to be the same good person that you know now, okay? But I always like to judge politicians after they get elected, especially after a couple of years.
And that's good. Now, Paul Gosar, on the other way, Representative Gosar, I've had we've locked horns a few times. Yeah. And in my view, he's arrogant. He's disengaged. He only shows up when he thinks he can earn an advantage, and that I don't think he's truly a member of Congressional District 4. I think because he's from Flagstaff, that's where his family lives, his wife and children. Wow. And he just rents an apartment in Prescott in order to qualify to run in our district. Wow. So I don't think, when he makes decisions, he's not making decisions in an area that he's going to be here in the long term.
I see.
So this isn't where his future prosperity are going to be. I mean, his family, his close connections are in Flagstaff. So, and we see that on the water where he hurt Mohave and La Paz on. We see that with the stuff that he did to the agricultural growers in Yuma. We're not. I think that we're taken for granted, and I think that. And I know for sure that he's just completely disengaged because he cannot handle criticism, and he cannot handle, in my opinion, people standing up to him. And that's not a good temperament to have in a federal official.
Very good. And what about Senate? We have this very important race for U.S. Senate. I don't want to assume anything. Who is your guy or is your girl?
Well, I got to say that Kelly Ward would be the one who I would be supporting.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that with a little asterisk. I understand why people are upset with Mr. McCain, Senator McCain, but he has done much for Mohave County. I mean, he's, when it came to the fish hatchery and the burros and some other issues, it was McCain that engaged. Gosar just threw out a press release as fast as he could to take credit for the work that McCain was doing.
Okay.
So McCain has worked for Mohave County. My criticism, or not criticism, my commentary is, for almost 40 years in Washington is too long.
Yeah, okay. I would like to add a couple of things. You can give us some free trouts and maybe taking care about our burros. Meanwhile, selling us out to the new world order, with this, how many other things he's done. I don't want to start to talk about McCain. This is just my ranting when I go.
No, and saying Kelly Ward is, I thoroughly, if I'm fortunate enough to win re-election, and I go on to other future public office, there's a certain point in time where I expect people to say, Steve, why haven't you not retired and go fishing? Just go fishing. Go enjoy your grandchildren.
I agree.
And if I'm not able to see that it's time to stop and just go enjoy my grandchildren, I think people should throw me out.
Okay, good. Now let's move to the next type of state elections. We have a federal, of course, I lost a lot of hope, but still we try to do our best. I have much more hope for our state legislators. They're still a little bit more in contact with us. For state senate, who is your guy?
State senate, I have endorsed Sonny Borelli.
Okay.
It's not because I think Ron Gould's a good man and a good conservative. And so I'm not knocking him on that. I think he's a good man or a good conservative. I really do believe that. But when it comes to temperament and personality, and we're going to have a lot of wars regarding water resources, for example, coming up in Mohave County, I think Sonny Borelli is far more likely to be of the personality that he'll be able to build alliances with other legislators to protect our natural resources here in Mohave County.
Okay.
That's what it really boils down to.
Well, let me stop you 1 second. Did you listen to the audio of Representative Borelli calling all the voters who do not support him? Let me read what I can read without being censored by the FCC. If these ignorant, sucking idiots want to vote for that phony, lying piece of they can get what they deserve and keep going. Another senator. Regardless politics, okay? Because I may have things I agree with Mr. Borelli or not. That's not the point. First of all, question, did you listen to the audio that was exactly on the Arizona Capitol Times, just published today? And the headline is called, "In Profane Rant, Legislator Slams Voters Who Back Opponent." If you didn't listen to that, I encourage you, because after all, in good faith, you go out and you endorse this candidate, okay? And as I said, this is beside politics. I would say that if it was my brother, or if it was the person that maybe I respect the most politically. When there is a point that you have, and this is not an opinion, it's a fact, I will publish, by the way, I already published the audio on the front page of lovegunsfreedom.com. People can listen and judge with their mind. Regardless of the politics, you think that's the behavior of a potential state senator calling everybody who doesn't vote for him these names and calling a former state senator such names. I'm a regular guy. I'm allowed to cuss. Of course, I try to avoid that.
Right.
I'm not here on the public tax dollar. I demand little more when I have a public servant working with our tax dollar to behave little better than just a low-life thugs from some slum. Sorry.
Right.
What do you think?
No.
What do you think? Am I wrong?
I'm going to take it as given for purpose of my response that all those things were said. So I'll assume they're true. And my response would be those are not helpful remarks. And if you're running in an election, you're trying to persuade people, and I doubt that's very persuasive to the people who are on the fence between Sonny and Ron. It doesn't change my opinion as to when it comes to balancing things out of my mind. But it's not. I wish he hadn't said that. I wish he hadn't thought it. I don't think it's true. I mean, if people want to vote for my opponent, they can feel free, and I respect their rights as Americans to make up their own minds.
Exactly. This is my point, all. I wasn't trying, and as I said, I am independent. Honest, I try to stay out.
Sure.
I have my own personal preference, and normally I keep it for myself. I don't even blast them on the show. Okay, but the point is, I'm and I wanted to tell you that because you go out, maybe you were unaware about this, but I wouldn't really be proud to support even somebody that maybe I agree politically. What is done now is beyond politics, in my opinion, as I said. And I'm not here a moralist person. Okay, I'm a pretty much. I'm a sinner myself. Let's put it in this way, okay? So anyway, but regardless, thank you for your opinion, at least on that one. Now, for a state rep, who are the two people that you represent, you support as representatives for the state of Arizona?
I'm staying out of that battle.
Okay.
Mostly because I like too many of them.
Okay.
And how people balance who they prefer in that particular election. I see a lot of good choices.
Good.
So,
Okay.
If one wants one as opposed to the other, I'm saying, yep, that sounds like a good choice. And it may not be my choice, but I don't have a particular axe to grind in that election.
Perfect. Sometimes not even about access to grind. People like to express, be public about their opinion. I'm normally pretty private about me because I'm nobody. But you're a state supervisor. Maybe sometimes people look at you like, hey, give me your opinion since you're already there in the machine and you know maybe a little more than we do. Okay. Now, for county sheriff, who is your person that you maybe pray or hopefully gets elected?
I'm supporting Rodney Head. And failing Rodney Head, Joe Archie.
Okay.
And the reason why is very simple. I think there's a lot of good people running in that election. There's a lot of people who I would trust my physical safety to and the safety of my family to. I think they're good law enforcement people. But the issue with Head and Archie is they've both dealt with very significant sheriff's budgets, or law enforcement budgets, I should say. And they both are, I will say, experts at it. And right now, the biggest problem our sheriff's department faces is the budget.
Okay.
It's money. It's getting deputies trained and processed and on the street as fast as possible. And I really don't think that we have time for someone who will have a significant learning curve.
Okay.
And I think Rodney Head and Joe Archie would be the guys who can step right into that role immediately. And obviously, Rodney Head is more experienced, and that's why he's my number one. Joe Archie is close behind it.
All right, very good. Listen, this is, as you said, I promised this time I was not going to put you under a spotlight in some sort of waterboarding scenario with question and answer like normally we do, okay? It was mostly to pick your brain, to give you the chance, more important for the listeners, for the voters. I wanted to let them know who you are. That's it. Simple as that. Now, just to let you know, I also did give a chance to the other, let's say, opponent of yours, Mr. Sue Donahue, to be on the show. So far, I never heard from her, so whatever. I just give it a chance to all of you. But since you're here, like, when you go in front of a judge and one side doesn't come, you almost won at least. There was really any trial here. But the point is, I wanted to give you the opportunity, if you have something to say about her, without any problem. This is a show that we talk about everything. You got the floor.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference between my opponent and I is that, from my perspective, she doesn't run a campaign for anything. She's running a campaign against something. It seems like every time I'm turning around at these debates or whatnot, she's attacking me as opposed to talking about what she's going to do. And I really don't think that's a constructive way about going things, and it shows a certain negativity, a personality that I don't think people would appreciate as being one of their elected officials. When it comes to me, I want to keep on doing what I've been doing. I want to hold the line on our budget and taxation. I want to continue to attract middle-income jobs into Mohave County. I want to continue to improve public amenities like parks and libraries. And the way to do that in a cost-effective way is through public-private partnerships. In other words, the government should not be writing $5 million checks. The government should be walking out and saying, hey, if you guys want to build a park, get the group together, we will get out of your way. And we'll give you a little assistance here and there, but it's not going to be a government project. It's going to be a community project. And I think that's the way forward in the future. It's just like our ancestors did 200 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If your neighbor needed a barn, there was no small business loan check.
Exactly.
The neighborhood showed up and they built a barn.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so I think that's what.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
and that's what I think distinguishes me from her.
Very good. What is your website? Or people, I know that going to be pretty simple at the polls next few days, but if people want to reach you out or check you out more, do you have a website?
I do not have a website. I'm on Facebook, though, pretty substantially.
Okay.
And if people Google Stephen Moss with the Stevens with a V on Facebook, they will see thousands of posts from me, anything ranging from federal politics, local politics, jokes, some of them in poor taste, and many other things. And I always respond to my Facebook private messages. Sometimes the answer is I don't know.
Okay.
Sometimes the answer is give me a few minutes and I'll get back to you. And it's so I try to stay heavily involved with the public via social media. They can also call me on my personal cell phone. That's on the county website. I've always given out my one and only cell phone number.
Wow.
And that's 602-531-3214. And people can call me if they have a problem, or if they prefer, they can send me a text. I will give a word of warning, since it is my only cell phone. Messages tend to pile up quickly. It's not unknown that I would have 3 or 4 calls while I'm in the midst of one other call. So texting might be the fastest way to get hold of me.
Very good.
But I will respond. I always do.
I want to say thank you, because one thing I tell you for sure, you're always there, available, regardless I am or not in your district, and I give you that credit for sure. And I wish you luck, and let's see in a few days. If whatever was going to happen, I'm sure you're going to be fine, okay?
Well, it's going to be, whatever happens, I will be fine, because God has been very kind to me. And regardless if it's a positive or a negative for me on election day, it will still be a positive. And that's one of the things which I think too many politicians lose sight of.
Exactly.
Life goes on.
Exactly. And you're right. This is, for me, the most important thing you said, probably. Sometimes we get so stuck to look at planet Earth, or at least our thumb. Like you say, you focus on your politics and you forget you have the rest of your life, and you have your family, and you have your business, and you have so many beautiful things. Politics, it is not just everything. Of course, we want to always try to use politics to have a better life. Listen, thank you very much. Good luck. Guys, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Ready for our number 2. Incredible surprise, incredible guest. Don't go away.
Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve a break. Enjoy a moment of indulgence. It's time for Zanna Coffee. Guilt-free pleasure. Zanna Coffee is the organic coffee to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Only the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world that I selected. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Get your coffee bag now. Don't be cheap. Life is too short and you deserve the best. Zanna Coffee.